and it's pretty clear you don't believe any scientific study, and so you can tell your brain kind of operates on, if it doesn't make common sense to me, then it can't be true. Question number one is, have you ever been anywhere in Europe, Spain, UK, and looked at ancient, sort of Roman ruins?
No, I'd love to, but I have not. I have not.
Okay. So the reason I mention that is because I've been watching live for a few minutes here, and it's pretty clear you pretty well wholly don't believe any scientific study. And so I'm trying to go back to some real world analysis, because I can tell your brain kind of operates on, if it doesn't make common sense to me, then it can't be true, which, as an example, physics, nothing in physics makes common sense. That's why we need physics to understand it, but I'll come back to that. My point is that, having been to Europe and been to Spain and been all over the UK and looked at these Roman ruins, what's crazy is if you go find an actual Roman, a butcher or apartment or where people lived, where the street was, it is below ground level, substantially below ground level. Like when you go to these ruins, you're going down steps and then you're walking through the ruins and you look up and there might be a window 10 or 12 or 15 feet off the ground that is looking out at what is now a cobblestone street level. And so the reason I bring that up to you is that that's only been a few thousand years ago. And that's the amount of sediment and the amount of movement that has happened in our Earth's crust just from the wind and the rain and what happens in our atmosphere. And so I think it's just crazy to me for somebody to think, okay, to see that in person and think, okay, there's 15 feet of ground has magically appeared with no flood, no nothing. This is just wind and rain since the Romans were here. So I guess my question to you would be, what, understanding that, how do you say, okay, well, maybe we've got, in that same 6,000 years, we've got thousands of feet of sediment like we see in other parts of the world?
Sure. Sediment ages can't be different ages if you have soft tissue being found in dinosaurs. That's one of the main. Since I don't like the scientific paper, I can understand the degradation rates of collagen and DNA, and they can't last 65 million years. So this unequivocally proves that if the dinosaurs in a layer that you believe to be 68, 65 million years, or 100 million years, or we can go back to the bacteria that they're reviving over 200 million years old, this cannot happen with the degradation rates if they're different ages. So do you have a mechanism? Since I don't like the science, I can take you to Mary Schweitzer's paper that shows that they're finding soft tissue. I can take you to the paper where they're finding DNA. I can also take you to the separate papers talking about the degradation rates, but I don't think you'll understand it because you're too arrogant. But don't worry, I love eating you guys for lunch.
Dude, I was trying to be nice to you. Because I've been watching live for a few minutes here, and it's pretty clear you pretty well wholly don't believe any scientific study. And so I'm trying to go back to some real world analysis, because I can tell your brain kind of operates on, if it doesn't make common sense to me, then it can't be true, which, as an example, physics, nothing in physics makes common sense. That's why we need physics to understand.
That's exactly. You were trying to be nice to me by coming up here and telling me that I had a simple understanding of things and I don't understand any scientific papers. Save your niceties for somebody else. Go ahead and get this demolishing that's coming.
I said you reject them. Dude.
Okay. We can play your video back. Brother, you can play your video back and check it out. Okay, well then explain to me why they're finding soft tissue and DNA fragments in dinosaurs.
Because there's natural explanation for that. They call it sort of a natural embalming, as an example, when you get into low oxygen environments. Like, there's a million different ways to have that conversation in terms of why certain soft tissues can be discovered.
Then just give me one.
Undergoing chemical cross-linking.
Okay,
let's go to from an animal's own blood, a reaction with natural sugars. I mean, we can go down a path.
Outstanding.
But my point is,
oh man, I love that path. Let's go down the chemical cross-linking path. Because
how about
let's go to the papers.
Why is the moon and the Earth the same age?
Freaking out.
Ask you that question. Why is
because
it?
They were made because they were made around the same time. That's why they're the same age. Duh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called wiggle
Okay.
matching. Before
Okay.
you move on to that, because I know we want to run off of this really quickly. We said iron cross-linking. So the paper for iron cross-linking is a role iron and oxygen chemistry play in preserving soft tissue cells and,
Hey.
and molecules from deep time. That's Mary Schweitzer. There's also another paper on iron cross-linking. The name of this one is the the mechanisms of soft tissue and protein preservation in Tyrannosaurus rex. This was done in 2019. So the first words of the abstract of the paper that you mentioned, this is the very paper, when you said iron cross-linking, this is the paper that references it. This is the first paper done on it. It literally states in the abstract, the persistence of original soft tissue in Mesozoic fossil bones is not explained by current chemical degradation models. Maybe you think that this is too old and I'm not using something up to date, so let's go to the later paper. Data supporting endogeny has been viewed in skepticism in part because no mechanism has been found that could be reasonably contributed to such preservation. There's no mechanism that they have found that could reasonably contribute to this happening. So, sir, iron cross-linking has failed on its face, according to the science. Do you have another one?
Dude, I can go all day, but I'm not going to if you're just going to be a condescending butthole to me because I'm trying to have a conversation to you.
Yeah, no, you're not, brother. Come on. Get off my stage. You can go down a million different ways, but you're not going to give me any more than one. And the one you fell on. And the reason I put my hat on is because you were being very condescending, dude. Come on, man. You were being very condescending, and unfortunately, you're just not intellectually ready to compare with the argument, so then you get condescending, right? So yeah, I gave you back what you come in and gave me. I love having great conversations with people, but if you come up here and get sideways with me, then I'm going to put my hat on and I'm going to utterly demolish you like I just did.